Okay, so up next, we're going to start crafting the entire environment. We're going to use our landscape tab to change the parameters of our landscape grass. And what we can do when a material is defined as landscape inside of Lumion, we then have the ability to use the Lumion like landscape paint. We can paint like different swatches all over this thing to kind of break it up, which is really difficult to do in SketchUp because you'd have to like divide faces and have different materials. It's hard to make it look smooth, but in Lumion, we have a brush where we can kind of paint onto our landscape. We can choose a different grass material for the actual repeating texture or tile pattern. And so that'll really dial up the look. And then we're going to turn on our 3D grass. So I'm going to show you how to craft the overall environment. Let's get to it. All right, so super important. I got to click on the checkbox to save my changes. And to edit the landscape grass, I'm just going to head over here to our landscape tab. And now I have the ability to modify my landscape. All right, so a couple different options in here. So one, you can just choose like an entirely different landscape. So if I click here, I can go and try something else. So you can see that the default here is on the top middle. Let's see, Denver's really dry and it doesn't always look, so green and lush. All right, the front yard will for sure because of the sprinkler systems, but everything else is like kind of a dry grass look. All right, now that's maybe a little bit extreme. And so, you can just kind of check like what these different environments look like. It's pretty cool that you can just kind of click and try different things. All right, so for our purposes though, I think what we're gonna do is really craft this. We're gonna stick with this top middle one. That's just a good default. And check this out. First, let's turn on our 3D grass, all right? So here's our 3D grass down here at the bottom left, and I just click on the power button, and then I can choose my grass height. And I usually make it pretty tall because this is, I want it to be noticeable. If it's really low, you start to get more of that repeating texture pattern. So there we go. There's our 3D grass turned on. And you can see that this is a different 3D grass. It's lighter weight and it has some of the similar properties. Over here you can see the new 3D grass materials, but this one's our landscape 3D grass. And you can make it bigger size and height, and you can choose some wildness here. So that way, you can see it's kind of like, well, it's wild. It's just got different lengths and, thins out in some places, like that. So you can start to really, make this environment not look so computer generated and perfect. All right. So that's pretty cool right there. But, I think one of the tips I have for SketchUp is to not use the default materials. All right. So I would say the same thing for Lumion. It's so easy just to start a new a new project and use the same material. So let's head over here to our paintbrush tool or paint tool. And here you can see that we have our 3D grass. If I click on this edit type button, you can choose from all these different types of 3D grass. All right, so these are really cool too. So then we could look for something that's maybe more like kind of dried out grass. That's possible. You can go back here and try something else. Here's grass rock. That could be cool. Still a little bit green. So I'm not finding anything that's exactly the way that I want my scene to look. So check this out. We can use like a custom diffuse map. All right, so if I click on this, I'm gonna head over to, let's see, this is under my visualization resources, or I'm sorry, under Brightman Designs resources. And here we go. And then we have some materials. And I actually organize all of my materials exactly the same way that Lumion organizes them. It kind of helps me with that. So I'll go to nature and then grass and check it out. You can see that I have some of this 3D grass, and this, this is pretty typical of Denver. Is like on the prairie, just kind of a worn out wild grass. All right, and it's got plenty of brown in it and a little bit of green. So that's pretty typical. Let's choose that. I'll say open like that. And then let's go back. We'll exit out of this and look at that. So you can use your own texture map to completely affect the way that the 3D grass looks. All right. Now, I don't know, the tile is kind of repeating quite a bit there. So let's just increase, let me select this and then increase our tile size, see if that kind of helps a little bit. And we'll continue to mess with this a bit, but like, look at that. See how the grass, you know, when you look at it way up above, yeah, you see the repeating pattern. But if you kind of look at it at, you know, a typical perspective, you get a better view of it. So we don't want to go too big. It gets a little bit fuzzy there. That looks pretty good like that. And yeah, that seems to be a fairly appropriate scale, maybe just a little bit too big. All right. Now, I'll tell you what though, over at SketchUp Texture Club, I've raved about them. Let's take a look over there and see if there's any other of these images and just try another one, see what it looks like. All right, so this is where I got the first one here. So we'll go to textures and then we'll go with nature elements, I suppose, and vegetation. Yeah, dry grass. That sounds good. And so, yeah, let's see like what the dry grass, this is 17331. That one looks pretty good too. And I'll just take like kind of a overall shot here. Dry grass. Yeah, that's kind of a nice look too. This one's got a little more contrast, I suppose, between the green and the brown. That one's just kind of dried out in general. Let's try this one. And I'm going to log in and we're going to download the high resolution material. And so we'll get this one. And this comes in as a zip. Let's see, where did that save? I'll go to my downloads and you can see that it's still cranking here. Okay, I'm going to minimize this. You can see that our zip file opened, and let's just copy this. I'm going to copy this over into that same folder under BD, resources, materials, nature, grass, and I'll just paste this in here. And so now we have this other dry grass seamless texture. So there we go. And we have another one similar. That's a SketchUp material. Okay, so let's try and swap it out for this one and see what that looks like. All right, so to do that, I'll click on Edit Type, and we'll go to the Custom Diffuse, and you can see it went right back to that folder that I already pulled from, and we'll choose Open and see if we like this one any better. Actually, I think I do like this one better. The repeating pattern is just a little less noticeable, and it looks pretty typical, you know, of kind of this Denver prairie dried out. So let's see, my 3D grass, let's get the height all the way and the size all the way, and then maybe take a little bit of the wildness. I don't know, something like that. Wow. So that's looking pretty good. Maybe a little more wildness like that. If you like this video, click the BD button to subscribe to our channel. Every week we post new videos covering SketchUp, Layout, Lumion, and our Condoc Tools extension. If you are a professional architect or interior designer, you're going to love our tutorials.